rescue Op, save the dinosaurs from an island that's about to explode. What could go wrong?
Return to Jurassic World 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And here we are back to discuss minute 65 of Fallen Kingdom. An adventure 65 million years in the making, some would say. Before we get to that, just briefly heading over to Jurassic-Pedia.com, we've got an article up here about the late, great Jimmy Buffett, obviously passing away late last year. Bit of backstory here on his role in Jurassic World as that cameo. The fictitious Margaritaville location prominently displayed in the main compound of Issanuba there that we see, Main Street, and him being a close friend of Frank Marshall, which obviously got him onto the film. Just a brief one, Dave, but we do talk about some of the real life characters on here as well, not just the made up one, the created ones.
This one's just a kind of a short one. We could probably expand it a bit some, but we're not Wikipedia, we're Jurassicpedia.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need for his filmography or all that there, just the facts with his involvement in Jurassic. So head over to Jurassic-Pedia.com to check out that article and many more.
She's gonna be okay.
Dave, ready to continue on into minute 65 of Fallen Kingdom?
Yeah.
Alright. Minute 65 opens with Zia trying to find the bullet and ends with Wu complaining to Mills. Continuing into 65, Zia's digging around looking for that bullet that devastated Blue. Odd here, it seems to be on the upper thigh area. Does that look like the area to you?
Yeah, that's where I've always assumed was the upper thigh area, like kind of like close to the hip somewhere.
Yeah, but thinking back to when she was shot, she was on top of the mercenary, unless someone else fired the shot and not him.
No, from what I think happened is that the mercenary was laying under Blue's claws, and he pulls his gun from his waist to shoot, but before he can get the barrel up, he just kind of shoots at the thigh.
Oh, okay. Yep. And his arm would be out a little bit too.
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
Well, I think it's more of it's a frontal entry wound than anything.
Yeah. Yep.
Like it entered from the front of the leg, not from the side.
We do get a couple of times here where we cut back to Owen and Baby Blue, and we get a good look at that falconer's gauntlet and the scratches and cuts into it. We did mention back when we were talking Jurassic World with those gauntlets hanging above the animal containment cages, I suppose you can call them, and just wanted to see what that was all about. And sort of we got a couple of minutes ago with Delta, and now here with Baby Blue as well. Not grabbing onto it, but originally earlier on in her life, she probably did put a couple of those big scratches in that glove, that gauntlet.
One of them did.
Yeah.
And we also get this close-up shot of Blue's eye, and she sheds a tear. Now, that's something that kind of bothers me because it's kind of overly mammalian. Yes, reptiles can actually cry, but it's not crying because the same way we think of it. It's crying because it's a way for them to shed excess salts in their body. Because they don't sweat like we do. So they get rid of salt through waste and through crying, basically.
Whereas mammals, it's you say crying, but it's the act of lubricating the eyes to if there's anything in it. If you get something in your eye, it'll water really bad to And for some reason, that same thing happens when we cry as well. Or whatever.
Well, when we cry, what crying is for people is literally, it's glandular. It's a buildup of emotional signals in our brain that is just literally too much for our brains to process. And so we let it out through crying. It's a literal emotional outlet for us. But I don't think the same would be able to apply to dinosaurs. even one as smart as Blue.
No, and while yes, our eyes leak while we cry, they also leak while we're crying for immense joy, like watching the Lost World trailer, for instance.
Like I said, it's emotion. It's an overwhelming buildup of emotion is what causes it, and it's just so much signals going on in the brain that it requires an outlet, and that's the outlet. So I mean, you could be crying because you're angry, crying because you're happy, crying because you're sad. It's just literally any emotion could trigger it.
So here we have Blue laying down. They obviously want to make her show emotion like this. Mm-hmm. Is she, oh, that's hurting my leg, crying? Owen's here helping me get through this, crying. These people care for me, crying.
I think it's the pain. What's meant to be causing is you're supposed to be connecting her with her expression of pain, but again, I don't think it works like that in reptiles.
And granted, Zia is moving those forceps around, like digging in there. Even I can imagine
around.
Yeah, I can imagine even with tranquilizers or local anesthetics, if she's got any of that. Although we do know Blue had been partly drugged from an earlier minute. You're still gonna feel that. I've never had cut stitched up or anything like that, but even with local anaesthetic, I'm sure you still feel the tugging of the needle going through your skin to stitch up a cut or anything like that. But this is a lot deeper than that. And as we said last minute, you got a whole team of puppeteers under the table here controlling her. One of them's down there with a little a syringe or something that has a tear duct plumbed into it, just so he can be Tier Man 1, whatever, under there.
Probably like one of those little pumps. I think they call them squibs or something like that. It's literally just like if you ever had one of those Halloween costumes with the pumps that runs up the sleeve and it squirts blood through the mask or the body thing. It's basically that, but with movie set, you know.
Mm. And also too, as I mentioned last minute, it is a good little blend with the animatronic here. That eyeball moving around, and the side of Blue's head as well. It does look great. And then after some time, she pulls it out, and we get the ding of the bullet dropping in the steel tray. And one of the biggest movie tropes ever of the doctor / nurse telling someone that the patient's going to be okay. She pulls the bullet out and drops it, and just says she's going to be okay. There's no stitching the wound up. There's no checking vitals. No, she's going to be okay. And of course, we get the uplifting music and score as everyone pretty much laughs and jumps for joy at the news. I hate this trope in films, and I did not need to see it in this film.
Interestingly, though, when you actually pull out a bullet, there's a tendency, and this doesn't happen with all bullets. It's not something that's universal, but with some bullets, especially smaller caliber ones, when they hit the body, the impact of them hitting the surface causes them to shatter and splinter. Like, of course, yes, you can have them still remain solid. It happens. Like I said, this is not a general rule, but it's kind of on the lucky side that they only had to have one shard of metal to pull out versus 100.
Well, yeah, you're talking about hollow points, the different type of munitions you can get. Mm-hmm. For an operation like this, it was a sidearm, like it was a Beretta 9mm or something that he fired. You're probably going to want hollow points just even in the small caliber stuff, because if push comes to shove, you want to try and inflict as much damage as you can on the animals you're going against, especially when they know there's carnivores on the island. It's the whole reason they have the whole camp fenced off and everything else. So yeah, you would expect that they're all carrying hollow point ammunition, especially for the small arms. Anyway, so
I thought he pulled out in 1911. I couldn't remember what he pulled out.
Oh, okay. But again, that's just that movie trope of just pulling a full bullet out. I'm sure there's even been movies or TV where the shell's been still attached to it. They just pull out this bullet covered in red sauce or ketchup to show that the bullet's been retrieved. And even a lot of times too, when bullets go in, sometimes they will the way they lodge in, they'll block an artery or something, and when you pull that bullet out, it sort of blood pressure drops. And although again, that's sort of watching medical shows and stuff. So, and we are not operating on a person here; we are operating on a raptor. So, yeah. Even though we did get the squirt of blood earlier into Franklin's face, there doesn't seem to be a lot of blood coming out of Blue here.
Oh, that's good. But like you said, it could be blood pressure drop, and they don't have any kind of electrical machinery keeping tabs on that. They just kind of got to pull the bullet out and hope for the best.
Well, yeah, I'd understand if that's why she's still wearing the watch so she can check Blue's pulse, but I don't know if that works with reptiles. I
would imagine the pulse would work, but it has to be on Blue, not on her.
Yeah. Yeah. But we cut back to the lab as Owen ends his log with a big line, Blue's the key. You have Blue, you get these raptors to do anything, which is exactly what Mills and Wu are trying to do here, because Maze is suddenly interrupted by Wu and Mills entering the lab, arguing at each other. Wu tells Mills that if he's sure Blues will live, and Mills responds, if it dies, we have blood samples, which they should have DNA samples from Nublar anyway when Wu packed up and left, but that's a discussion for another time. Wu protests, no, that's not good enough. If the raptor is a behavioural specimen, we need her in good health. I didn't shoot the damn thing, Mills said. What do you want me to do? And Wu's back at him, you haven't got the faintest comprehension of what I'm doing here, which is where the minute ends, so we're going to get a lot more of this fight. Next minute.
Just looked online. It is a 9mm.
Okay.
It looks like the Internet Movie Gun Database IDs as a 6-hour 9mm.
Oh yeah, not a Beretta. Yep. And even just from personal use, hollow points don't cost any much, and it will no different to different sort of subsonics or other type of ammunition as well here at least. So it's not a cost cutting thing by the expedition not to have hollow points. So it might just come down to the end of the day the mercenaries' personal preference. If they want, they might have supply their own sort of ammunition for the operation. So. But I think that's it for minute 65. Dave, how about we get out of here for the week?
Sounds good.